Thanks, Jessica. If you don't know Jessica, she's an amazing person. She is the glue keeping this entire event together. So if you see her, get a chance to thank her. And yes, Jessica, I definitely consider you a friend. My name is Jeff Pittelkow. I am the managing director of Roboworx, and I'm not here to talk about AGI or AI in any way. I'm here to talk about what you're going to see in the future when you actually get your robots out in the field. And to start with, I've created some AI-generated video that embodies some things we have seen at Roboworx in the AMR space that could very well happen in the humanoid space when they actually get out there.
Sparks, it's burning.
Get water, now!
I like this one because a little kid threw something at a humanoid robot server. It's something that I think will absolutely be happening someday.
Strike. More watts, less hours, full charge, fair pay. No overtime with low power. Respect the circuit on strike. More watts, less hours, full charge. The plug.
Sora came up with the text on this one. Respect the circuit. I can't take credit for it.
Fair pay. No overtime.
We have come across robots in the field that had a sign on them that said on strike.
Less hours.
Show this one more time. So I was hoping to inject a little bit of humor in today, but I do have one goal, and as I talk to all of you today, prepare for the unexpected. All the things in the video that I show, well, maybe not the dog walker one. I was probably pretty expected that the dogs would overpower the humanoid dog walker. But the things that I was showing are things that are very unexpected. The very first video with the robot falling in a kitchen, it was slipping on grease, right? Now, I'm not sure if you guys are testing in your labs with your humanoids, robots slipping on hot grease on the floor, but we actually work with robotic fryers, and it's a real concern, and it's something that we have seen. So prepare for the unexpected and make sure you make support a part of your business model. The humanoid market is expected to reach $600 million by 2031. That's only 5 years from now. That's what the global market is supposed to be. And by 2050, Morgan Stanley predicts it to be a $5 trillion market. About 20 years, 25 years from now. So the thing that's going to separate all the companies in this facility who are building humanoids, the ones that are actually going to survive, are the ones who are building service as a part of their strategy. So I have a question for everybody. I had a poll that I put out on the event app. Very good app, by the way, Jessica. Use it again next year. Have you budgeted for robotic maintenance and support? Show of hands, who has? That's not a lot of hands. I think it's just me. On the app, the poll showed 2/3 of the people had not budgeted for robotic maintenance and support. In 5 to 10 years, the humanoid market is going to be very mature. And again, like I previously stated, those who are the most mature are going to be the ones who plan for this. Market momentum, operational readiness. Are you ready for the service and support that is going to need to happen? So I have to keep going to my notes, and they're not advancing, so that's weird. Got it. What stands in the way of scale? That's the biggest question, is what stands in the way of scale to get to that mass market adoption that everybody's looking for. And I have a quote here from McKinsey, from the gentlemen who are actually on stage yesterday. Are the McKinsey folks here? Am I quoting them in person? Okay, no, well, this is from the McKinsey folks that were on stage yesterday morning. Prototypes that are capturing headlines are impressive, but still far away from delivering consistent, reliable, and economically justifiable performance in the real world. Consistency and reliability are the two biggest things. The third one for us, customer success, because your robot can be consistent and it can be reliable, but you're gonna have a huge problem with customers adopting it. You're gonna have a huge problem with customers knowing how to use it, and all of that stuff. So, question I have for everybody, who does not have robots in the hands of customers today? Does not have, only in the lab. So, okay. I encourage you all to get your hands in the hands of customers today, because a robot has two lives. It has a life in the lab and a life in the field, and what you see in the lab has nothing to do with what you see in the field. Come on. So we have a lot of experience in the AMR space and in the robotic space, in the non-humanoid space, and that's something I want to talk with you guys about today. Our experience that we have seen in the AMR space, and we've seen quite a lot. I tried to make it a little humorous at the beginning of some of the videos. We've seen robots that say on strike. We've seen robots that have had issues with things on the floor. I mentioned an anecdote yesterday about a robot in a movie theater. And it's an AMR, and its drive wheels were sucking up popcorn and things like that. When it comes to testing your robots, I've been seeing a lot of videos during this conference of people talking about robot parkour, right, and things along those lines. And I think that's great. But I want to see a robot on ice. I want to see it walking in Wisconsin. You know, the sidewalk delivery robots just got to Chicago within the past 3 months, I believe, and they're all having issues with snow. They can't work anymore. And what I see is a lot of robotic companies who test in a lab, and they get into the real world, and they think they have a deployment, and all these external factors happen that they never thought of. And you will never, ever, ever, ever have enough tests in the lab to see what you're actually going to see in the real world. So I highly, 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 highly encourage everybody to get your robots out of the lab as quickly as possible and into real world scenarios. So there's a hidden cost of ownership with robotics, and that cost of ownership is support. It's hardware. The robots are going to break. You're going to need to have spare components, spare arms, and you're going to have to pay for labor to replace those parts. And all these things that we have seen in the past in the warehouse space, in the kitchen space, and restaurant space, in the office space, all these environmental factors are going to be the things that break your robot, and someone has to go around and fix them. We have seen product costs, customer support costs, as much as 3 times the amount of the product in terms of keeping it up and running. It is a very, very, very important thing to budget, because you can put your robot out there and you put it in the field, and we've seen this time and time again. You get your prototypes out there, you're so excited, then you get your second prototype and your third prototype, you're so excited, and the first one breaks, and the second one breaks, and the third one breaks. And the question is, what are you going to do? Are you going to put one of your engineers on a plane? They're going to go to where your first customer was in Kansas City or in Detroit, and they're going to go fix it? Or are you going to have somebody else do that, or have you thought that far ahead? Because this is a real world scenario that we've seen a lot. Now, one of the other things is that fixing robots is not as complicated as you might think. We encounter a lot of customers who think that you have to be a robotic PhD, somebody of that stature, to fix these robots. And you don't. And in fact, if you're building robots, you should make sure that you don't need to be a robotic PhD. In a similar industry that has something nearly as complex, automobiles. The average car has 30,000 parts in it and costs $50,000. Now, everybody loves humanoids. There's a lot of technology going into it, especially in the software AI training, a lot of technology going into the hardware. I don't believe anybody has 30,000 parts in their humanoid robot. That's a lot of parts. Now, $50,000 might be the part cost of manufacturing, but I can take my car to a Jiffy Lube, and a guy making $40,000 a year can fix a lot about it. Now, he couldn't engineer the car. He didn't make an internal combustion engine. He didn't make the door lever, the windshield, the door window switch, or anything like that. But he knows how to replace it. And you have a lot of standardization. In automotive, you have standard oil filters, you have standard gasoline, standard belts, things like that, which is something the humanoid industry is absolutely going to need to adopt to make serviceability more affordable. But you also have, with automotive, parts distribution. You have storage. You know, your humanoid robot has a hand that breaks, an arm that breaks. Do you have spare arms? Do you have spare hands? Have you budgeted the cost of doing that? Is that going to be a warranty replacement? Is that going to be something you charge your first customer for? Is that going to be a situation where the hand broke because they misused the robot in some way? And I assure you, they will misuse the robot in ways you have never even bothered to imagine, even with fun little AI videos like that. So our goal, the thing to tell you, if you don't build your service strategy now, you'll build it in crisis later. We have a lot of people come to us and say, I have 10 robots in the field, and none of them are working right. And I only have engineers, and we're trying to make version 2 of our robot. Can you fix it for us? Sure we can. We have, and we will. But that's expensive. Where are the robots at? How long will it take for us to get there? And how much damage have you done to your reputation? How much damage have you done to the reputation with your customer? You're all going to be selling a product that has an ROI. Everybody who looks at your product is going to say, this is going to replace a person costs this much money, this robot better do as much as the human does for no more money than the human costs. That's your benchmark for everybody in the room, right? If it costs half as much of a human, it can do half as much of a human, but it better not do anything less than that. However, if your robot breaks a lot, it doesn't matter that's capable of doing as much of a human relative to its cost. It doesn't matter at all. Your ROI just went to 0 because it's unreliable. And if I had, as a business owner, 10 employees and replaced 5 of them with humanoid robots, but those 5 humanoid robots could not consistently work, and I couldn't get to consistently work, and there's always some issue with them, and I can't call them reliable, I still have to staff those other 5 people. I've saved no money. I've saved no money whatsoever. Don't sell more robots and you can keep working. Somebody on my team said this to a former employer of his at a very interesting time because they were selling more robots than they could keep working. That business might not be around very much longer because they're still selling more robots than they can keep working. And it's a problem, right? When you're building your robot, I want everybody to internalize this if you're building robots right now. Are we selling more than we can keep working? Because if you think you are, you don't have a good service strategy, you don't have good parts backup, you don't have the ability to actually have a commercially viable product. Because you're selling more robots than you can keep working. So 3 pillars of scalable service strategy: readiness, responsiveness, and reliability. Readiness: train certified technicians who support or specialize in robotic support. Right? You have to have the techs ready and trained. Now, consistency is a big part of this. We have a lot of customers who every robot they build is a unique special flower, N of N, right? I built my prototype, then I iterated my second prototype, and my third prototype, and then my fourth and my fifth, and so on and so forth. I've heard of companies who have 100 robots out there, and no 2 are the same. How am I supposed to train technicians on how to fix a robot if each one is unique? Yeah, well, number 35, that's got that special servo motor, and therefore I had to do custom firmware on it. So I can't really do the firmware update on that robot. Number 74 has a different hand than all the rest of them. So we got to make sure that one is special. Standardization is going to be the most important thing for readiness. Responsiveness: these people who are ready can be dispatched quickly. They're in the parts of the country where they need to be. They're near the robot. You don't want to put somebody on an airplane. Average cost to put somebody on an airplane when you're traveling for service, about $1,500, 2 to 3 days. And that's to say nothing of how much they're out of pocket if they were an engineer for you. They're engineering something. They're not engineering something right now because they're in Kansas City fixing a robot instead of working for you. And then reliability. Preventative maintenance is the biggest thing. I cannot stress enough preventative maintenance. I mean, everybody kind of gets sold maintenance contracts when you buy an automobile or something like that. If you have a home robot right now, who has like a home cleaning robot? I have a home cleaning robot. Do you ever get the little notification on the app, hey, time to clean the sensors, time to replace the roller? Do you? I mean, sometimes you do. Sometimes you just hit reset. I hit reset half the time. I'm bad. I'm preaching this, and I'm bad at this. Preventative maintenance is huge. One of the things we do, one of the things we preach, we go in person to see the robots. You're going to put a dashboard up. You're going to build a dashboard. It's going to have the CPU. It's going to have number of cycles for this motor and that motor and voltages and stuff. None of that is going to tell you what's actually happening with the robot. You're going to fool yourself into thinking it is. You're going to see number of cycles. Oh, the robot's running fine. We have seen so many robots that we get on site to do our in-person inspection of it, sit in a corner, push it out of the way. Robot's not working, so we just push it over there. And here's the dirty little secret. When anything goes wrong with your robot, no one's going to call you about it. You will never know. And the reason for that is pretty simple. That robot is going to go into an environment, a dirty, dull, and dangerous environment, and it's going to work along humans. And those humans are not the people who bought the robot. We call them the robotic coworkers, the robot's coworkers. And those are probably low-wage workers. You know, you put a robot to work alongside humans at, say, a McDonald's, they're McDonald's workers. Put it inside a hotel, or, you know, right next to the front desk. They are not empowered in any way, shape, or form to fix that robot. They don't know who to call. They're not empowered to call. So they don't. And guess what? The job has to get done. So that robot was supposed to clean the floor, and we've seen this before. It did a bad job of cleaning the floor. Did the janitor, who is working alongside the robot to also clean the floor, call and say, hey, it's doing a bad job cleaning over here? No. Are they knowledgeable enough to remap it? No, they were never trained. And if they were trained, these are high turnover environments. You train someone, in 6 months, 3 new people have gone into that role. So now nobody is trained how to use the robot. And it just sits there. So going on site to actually see things is going to be the most important part, because if you sold the robot, and you sold an ROI. And that ROI is $0 when they push it into the corner and they have to use human staff anyway. Now, one of the last things I want to say is service can actually drive growth. 40–50% of OEM profits come from aftermarket support. That's in the automotive industry. One of the things with service and support is it's good to include in a RAS program if you're selling this on a monthly basis. It's easy to build in, but it's also a good upsell. Anybody who's worked with a corporate IT department knows that in corporate IT, they want an enterprise service contract for everything. Hardware, I need the enterprise service contract. Software, enterprise service contract. They want that number that they can call. We've done a lot of work with a lot of customers in that space. They say, you know, our customer just wants an enterprise service contract. Happy to do it. We're the first line of defense. We're that first phone call. It almost feels like insurance. The future of humanoids depends on service. That's it. I mean, if you're not building a service infrastructure to work with your robots, if you're not doing the customer success stuff to go on site and say, is this robot working? Is it doing the job that it is supposed to do? Your customers will not use it. This is new. This is a new marketplace, right? People don't have that many robots these days, and they don't have a high tolerance for them not working. Again, you've sold an ROI case, and the job still has to get done. If you're a cleaning robot or you're humanoid who picked up a mop is trying to clean and it does a bad job, floor still got to get cleaned. Someone still has to do it. And they will happily push your robot out of the way, and they'll talk negatively about your product. They'll talk negatively about the industry, and you won't have a business. So service and support, one of the most important things when it comes to humanoid robotics. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeff. It was an amazing talk.
Thank you.
Very interesting topic.
Is that it? Okay.
No time for questions, sorry. So you can set aside Jeff and ask him a lot of questions. So we are going to prepare for our next speaker, so thank you.